All right, what's going on, everybody? Whoop, my microphone. That should be better. What's going on, everybody? Just getting set up. Give me an audio check whenever we finally do get everyone caught up. Again, just a Sunday night hangout. Gonna work on some project stuff. I'm gonna work on some wiring on this. I'm gonna try and change out some links. Just doing regular shop stuff. But figure we'd throw the camera on again. The live streams have been fun. Something to do while we're all not getting ready to go to work tomorrow for a lot of us. Some of us. Let's see. Adjust my camera down a little bit. Anyway. Again, hopefully someone give me just an audio check to make sure everything's working. Yeah, I know I've been working on this truck quite a bit lately. There's just a lot of little things that I want to get fixed on it so that it's kind of a done truck. I haven't had a lot of chances to work on it other than, we've been kind of tinkering around. It's like the truck I grab when we're going to do a live feed. Too loud. That's the first time I've ever heard that. But hopefully we're close. Thanks everyone for joining in. A bunch of people. Sounding good. Hawaii. A bunch of people. We'll see where everyone's checking in from. Yeah, I'm going to work as well tomorrow, so try and keep everything running. Yeah, and it is late. I know it's 8:30 here on the West Coast, but it's a lot later for probably most of you guys. But we'll probably only do it for a couple hours, something, or, I don't know. We'll play it by ear, see how it's going, see how many people we have checking in. Yeah, so New Hampshire side's already 11:30, wherever. But so anyway, we've got the C10 Woods Runner on the bench here. Like I said, one of my plans for tonight was swapping over the links that are on this truck. Actually, if you look up close on this, you can see like we've got some threads showing here. They were just kind of, threads here with some long rod ends. I think these were just kind of links used to get everything done, even though they weren't the right links at the time. So since I really like this truck, I'd like to get everything swapped out to appropriate, just as nice as looking as possible. So I've got a set of incision links. As far as I know, this is going to be an SCX-10-2 link set, but we could be surprised. So as we're putting them all together, I'll make sure and check. But Lake Tahoe, checking. Okay, not that far. South Bend, Indiana, Maine. Let's see. Good old Iowa. College class at 8 a.m. Oh, online class, I'm sure. Kansas City, hometown. Richmond, Virginia. Pennsylvania. Texas. San Antonio. We got people from everywhere. Australia, okay. Must be early morning in Australia. Philippines, 11:30 in the afternoon. Perfect. Or in the morning, whatever you call it. So we're going to start assembling some of these links. And I'll check them as we go just to make sure that they're not actually going to work. Just in case, since this, could be a custom setup. West Plains, Missouri. West Plains. Wasn't there is there a cult in West Plains, Missouri, like way back in the day? I think, or wait, maybe that was Far West, Missouri. I almost have to Google that. Can't remember. What is the wire on the bottom for? Wire on the... Oh. These wires here. So I've installed these taillights in the back now. And that's the wires that are running to those. That is actually... So right now I don't have those finished. It's just tucked in there. Like if I pull them out. They're just tucked in for now, but I have already partially routed them in the vehicle. Let me, these are just twisted together, but I'll show you what these things actually look like. Let's see. I'm just holding the wires into the battery connector, so that's why not everything's lighting up. But anyway, gives you an idea. Should look pretty good. Simple little deal. These housings are, try and give you a close-up here. It's not going to focus very well. But the outer part is 3D printed, and it's a housing that goes around and sits up against the back side of the tube. But the very back of the housing is a piece of styrene that's actually just, it's glued onto the back. And I did that because I wanted to be able to access it the first time when I was putting it together and then close it up. But so I glued that piece of styrene on the back, and then I just spray painted it afterwards. So kind of cool. I like them. And the wiring, so that wiring is really small gauge wire, and it runs right along these bed sides, and you almost can't see it. Oh, I guess if you get the right angle, you can right there. So the wire I like to use for that stuff is, let me see if I have it here. So I twisted it all together, but this is an Ethernet cable, just like a Cat 5 or Cat 6 cable that I just stripped the sheathing off of. And it gives you, well, this one gave me 4 pairs of twisted wire. It's just super fine, nice and flexible, multi-strand, usually good quality wire. So it's just, I find it to be super handy, and it's sometimes hard to find nice thin gauge wire like that, but there's always Ethernet cables laying around. So, or maybe not for you guys, but I always have an Ethernet cable. And you know, a 3-footer, you cut it up, like usually that's more than you're going to need for most projects. Which car do I like more, the VS410 Pro or the VS410 Ultra? So the Pro is my favorite. It's the one I prefer. But at the same time, I also put a portal in the rear of my Pro, which I did a whole video on that if you ever want it. And that, I love that setup. But if I was just picking one box stock versus the other, personally, I like the standard axles of the Pro just for kind of a more scale look. And I like the way that it drives. You have the 3 yet? Yes, I do. I did a live build on it too. This thing needs a little bit of wiring as well. I've got the micro servos here. I need to get those installed. So if we stay, if we get, I don't know, a lot of people in here tonight and we want to keep cooking later into the evening, then I'll probably pull this thing out and we'll do, I'll start putting the micro servos and radio gear in it. Team Garage Hack out of Colorado. Mark's in here. What's going on? Let's see. Hello from Chile. What's going on? Yeah, sorry for the late night. You know, some of you guys I know are going to pop in and check out, but I appreciate stopping in regardless. Sometimes I actually was trying to get the first video for season 2 of Flip That Truck done before I started the live. I was going to do it earlier and earlier, and it just kept getting pushed. But anyway, the first video for Flip That Truck season 2, we'll call it whatever, will go live in the morning. So looking forward to it. Kentucky. Does that have the VFD transmission? This one, I'm guessing you mean? This one does not. This is just an SCX-10 basically. How strong is it? I don't know what you meant by that. How strong is what? Starting my first styrene truck bed for the TRX4 Blazer. Any tips? Oof. I'm not. I can get through doing styrene work, but I don't have great tips. Where's Matt? Yeah, I know. Not tonight, John. Oh, where's that at? Sorry, I'm behind on comments. I got that running out of my ears. I'm guessing you mean Ethernet cable. Just joining in. What subject RC-wise are we talking about discussing today? We're just going to kind of bounce around. I'm going to do some actual work and just discuss as we go. If I was buying my first VS410, what would I buy? The Pro. That's the one that's what we were discussing about a little bit. Still not done, huh? Yes. No, these are the same seats. I'm gonna pick up the RC 4-wheel drive PRP seats for this though, and swap these two out. Let's oh, sorry, they're jumping fast. Is it with the 10.3 with the adjustable frame rails? Do you think they'll make a Jeep Gladiator body still looking more scale and length? I guess they could make one, but they would have to make new rear frame rails because the frame rails that come in the SCX-10 they're the longest frame rail, the longest situation you can build right out of the box. So they'd have to make longer rear ones. How many of your projects on the wall are finished? Oh, that's a good question. Okay, the very top you can't actually see, but that's the Kyosho Ultima. And that's not finished. It needs a brushless system. The Ripper's, I'd say finished, but I took some stuff out of it, so it's not finished again. That one over there is finished. Not finished. You can call that one finished. It's running at least. Not finished. That one is this one. Not finished. Finished. Wraith 1.9. It's running right now, but I don't like it. It needs work. Yeah, I mean, that one down there is still new, so it's technically finished. You know, I don't know why you keep finished projects around. It seems like those just got to go. Watching from Manila at night. Playing, Titanfall. I don't know that I've played that. Let's see. Work in a restaurant and deemed essential, so serving takeout and it's slow. Oh, well, I'm sure the whole takeout thing has got its waves right now. I know that's all you can do around here. Ooh, sorry, we're way behind on comments, but we're just going to have to jump down for a minute. I need to talk Vanquish into making another shop in the Midwest and come back. Yeah, I do love the Midwest. But what's the best shock that can handle bashing? I mean, that depends on what, you know. You're talking about a 1.9? You're talking about like a bomber? Like it's so different with what you need for each size of car and how fast you plan to go and the weight of each one. It really depends. How did you weather that body? I bought it. That's how I did it. It's all painted on the outside though, so it's all just like airbrushing. It's just done really well. It looks pretty convincing. So I like the look. We need Matt. Thanks, Dan. Get to work. That thing needs a driver. It's sitting still on the bench. It doesn't need a driver. How am I liking the Capra? Put same wheels and tires as you did, and I dig them. Looks like the same wheels and tires on that rig as your Capra. Same tires, basically, except these are the Method 101s, and I think I put 310s. Or no, what did I put on the Capra? Maybe I did these? I can't remember. I thought I did 310s, but I think you're right. I think I did orange 101s. I can't remember. What is happening to the car on the bench? My plan tonight is to install a new set of links on it that look more appropriate. These on here we just kind of went through, and it needs, I feel like it just needs all matching links, all that look the same. This one's got some longer rod ends, some shorter rod ends, some, you know, stuff here and there. So we're going to see if we can get it all evened up, but it might not work. They might be custom lengths and need some tweaking. So we're going to experiment. Where's the dancing rider? It is on that shelf, just out of view. Ooh, sorry if I miss comments. I will you'll have to repeat them. But the capper itself, anyway, I feel like it needed work. UC Fab released a skid plate setup today to run a 3-gear transmission, and I think that is definitely the route that I would go. I'm not a fan of the transmission that came in there. Any recommendations for shocks in your TRX4? Stock shocks are really good. And they're kind of a longer shock, so it's a little bit harder to find just the right one. But Traxxas makes really good shocks. Don't take off a Traxxas shock and put on like a Desert Lizard or something like that. Like, I work on golf carts and all my Canadian customers have gone home early. Ooh. Let's see. My TRX4, the receiver won't unlock my front diffs. They're stuck on locked position. Any suggestions? Are you sure that it's the? You might check that the servo's not good, gone. You can disconnect the cable and see if it'll shift, and then if the servo still works, start finding where the bind is. How big of a motor can the VFD trans hold? 540 motors, just, like I've run anything from, Polar Pros to like Tekin Pro 4s. So, and you can, but yeah, basically any 540 fits pretty well. Oh, my comments are not auto scrolling. That's what happens. You must like that hat. What's up, Bill? I do like this hat. I actually bought some more of this brand today on good old Amazon, since I can't go to the hat store. I'm getting that skid plate. Yeah, the skid plate from UC Fab for the capper is going to be nice. So, and hey, if any of you guys in here haven't, I was just thinking that I'll need to put that in the news for tomorrow. But also, if you haven't, make sure you enter the giveaway for the Holmes Polar Pro and Mamba X that I'm doing. I have links and all this stuff in the descriptions and all that kind of stuff. How do I like the SCX 10.3? So far I like it, but I haven't driven it yet. I've only built it. So I still have a long ways to go. Currently, the body's out to be painted. I sent it to Suits. Looking by my first 3D printer, it's between the Ender 3 and the Tevo Tarantula. I don't know the Tarantula, so I can't really give any input on that. But I've had a lot of friends with good luck with the Ender 3, and I have the Tevo Tornado and the Tevo Nearest. So, between those, that's there we go. Mattzilla Ultra 4 looking for one. Can you help? I can't help you. You might just, can you just not contact Mattzilla? Where is your drag car? Oh, it's right here. I had to move it off the shelf. It's waiting on a power system still. I don't know if I need... Sorry for your ears if the the drill is too much. What light bar? This is just a Vanquish. What is this? A 1, 2, 3. It's a 4-inch light bar is all. Oh, I thought that was wider. What's a good aftermarket chassis? Oh, you mean you're just talking in general. I don't know. I hate flat rail chassis, so I don't go for any of them. Not a fan. What size CI foam do you recommend for BFG crawler Predator compound? They're going for an SCX 10.2 that weighs around 6 pounds. Oh, that's pretty light. I mean, I would run the Little Nova for the, 475 tall tires. Probably, I would go with the same setup, soft front, medium rear. Is ammo sold out in my area too? I don't know, actually. Any AR-44 gear sets in the pipeline? AR-44 gear sets should be back in stock before too long. Okay. Best shocks for a 1.9 around 9 pounds. Whew. 10 miles an hour, just enough to jump and have fun with, but still crawlable. That is a heavy 1.9, but I would see if you could fit in a pretty big bore shock, like a Proline Power Stroke for a slash, like a slash front. So a 3.5-inch shock, about 90 mil. What kind of car on the table? SCX 10.2, but with a custom chassis, or custom tube work. What is that blue tool for making links easy? That is a Zerba tool, SZCZERBA. It just holds the rod end for you. Super handy. Matt asks, can I paint my Nova body for me? I will absolutely paint the Nova body for you, Matt. Send it over. I will paint it and get it shipped out in just a few hours turnaround time. Fastest painter you've ever seen. Paint won't even be dry by the time it's back in the mail, I promise. Would the VS410 axles work on a 10.3? I mean, I guess it depends. Like, do you mean the Ultra, like the portals? So there, I mean, some of the stuff is in different locations as far as like upper link mount on the front axle. So it takes a little bit of finagling, I think, at this point, but we'll see. What is a G-code and how do you make it? G-code is, the coding that most CNC machines and 3D printers run on. What kind of motor do I have? In what? Streaming 4 a.m. club. 4 a.m. Jeez, that's early wherever you are. Is it possible to run a VS410 D44 axle on the SCX 10.2 with the offset? Well, that's actually what's in this. So D44 on an SCX 10.2 chassis. This one's got some bent links up front for the panhard specifically. So that's one link that I don't plan to change out because it's got a bend that was done specifically to help clearances. So it is possible. It might take just a little bit of configuring to get the most out of it. But yes, it is possible. If Josh paints your Nova, it will turn out to look like a Volkswagen. I'm not sure how that's possible, but that sounds like it takes talent. Spray and pray. I was thinking of more of like a, you know, brush and rush. Are you gonna make replaceable parts for the Hertz V2? I mean, if any parts are if you actually like wear out a part, then we'll get them to you. They don't normally wear out unless there's like something set up wrong. How do you change camera angles and use multiple cameras during live streams? I use something called OBS Studio, and then I have like 3 cameras. So camera 2 is this one, and then camera 3 is over here. Fancy. And then we have like picture in picture, multiple ways, different See, it's so fancy. With the paint job on that truck you're working on, if you scratch, do you ruin the paint job? Yeah, technically. It's painted silver underneath, so if you scratch it, it'll look like metal scratched. Technically, is the purpose, but yeah, I mean, if you scratch up the body a bunch, it will, you know, technically ruin it. Let's see. Anyone else like me and thinking we have to live like it's the zombie apocalypse? Can we at least get a few zombies to decapitate? I always forget I'm not supposed to put the pivot ball in until afterwards with my tool set. So TRX4 or SCX-10 III? I mean, if someone was asking me that, I would tell them TRX4 if they're just mainly worried about durability. SCX-10 III if they want like scale, more of a scale style. And, you know, at this point, that's really all I could say until I really drive the SCX-3. But I feel like with the design overall, I feel like the SCX-3 is going to be a little bit more capable, but so we'll see. Todd Packer. If you could be a character on The Office, which character would you be? Oh, David Wallace. He sold Suck It for millions of dollars. Easily David Wallace. I mean, that's. Psh. Are any of my 3D parts on Thingiverse? Yes. I don't know. Some of them are, for sure. So what's the next Flip That Truck? You will find out in the morning because that video will go live then. So it's going to be fun. Painting that Nova body probably wouldn't look bad using a 2-inch chip brush. Oh. Let's stop moving that damn camera. Sorry. Denali Underground from Howdy from Alaska. Welcome back. And again, thanks for your contribution the other night. Hi, Josh. Wondering what your setup for filming and driving at the same time. The question also be asked to Matt. Normally, like when I just like go out and I'm driving on the rocks, I drive with one hand. So I drive with one hand like this, because I can reach the wheel, and then I film with the GoPro on this tripod, and I usually just hold it upside down to get my angle, and I drive and film. There is nothing glamorous about it, and if you're watching me do it, I'm sure it looks extremely awkward, but that's all I do. Whoa, scrolled fast. Where can I purchase that Zerba tool? From RC Scaleworks. And I can't remember exactly how you spell the Scaleworks. I think it's like with an X or something like that. All I know is that if you go to the wrong RC Scaleworks, it's like cosplay or furry stuff or something. Something not RC. I've linked it in a bunch of videos in the past, but let's see. Are the Ultra kits going to get supplied enough so that we can get Ultra axles separately soon? Probably not. Right now, the demand for Ultras is outweighing our ability to produce the axles. So it will probably be a while. It's nice to see the SCX-10.3 comes with a bag of scale points, aka door handles. Exact door handles, shifters. I don't know if it comes with shifters. I mean, so many scale points that, you know, we have to educate others on how to count. I'm about to get a Spectrum DX5 Rugged. What do I use? I use the Futaba 4PM. I used to use the 4PV, but now I use 4PM, which is basically just the more up-to-date version of it. So I'm a Futaba radio loyalist. Oops. Sorry. Where is the budget build? There is no budget build right now. Oh, sorry, it's all shot down path. Have I ever made an interior for a TRX4? I have not. We're crawling at Horseman's Park tomorrow. Come down. That is going to be quite the... I would have to leave now. The RC car that you're working on, is that good? The RC car that you're working on, is that a good one for beginners? This one isn't like one you can buy. This is just like a custom setup. It's all custom chassis and all that. But underneath of it is an SCX-10.2. So... And honestly, I don't really see any of these as being bad for beginners. Like any car I have is fine for beginners. Like I don't think that there's a huge issue there with something that you wouldn't be able to just grab and go. You know, even I took the rod end out of the wrong side on that one. Even the VS410 Ultra or Pro, like it's not a bad beginner car. It's just a more expensive car, but it'd be one of those ones, like if you want to just buy it once and be done, then there's your option there. I don't think that there's a lot of cars that are bad for beginners. Hey, Ron G gave me $5. Appreciate it. I have a thumb wheel attachment I use when I film. Yes, I've often seen those, and I'm like, oh, I should get one of those or put one of those. You know, just draw one up and print it quick. But I just never have because it's never been something that's prohibited me from doing it. And I'm so comfortable driving with one hand. Like most of the time I drive with one hand, so it's just not. You know, we'd have such awesome hiking up here that, you know, we grab our trucks and go on the trail, and I drive with one hand and just walk and hike like normal. Wouldn't it be easier mounting the GoPro on your head? Looks odd, but hands free. The angle is terrible. You never want to be like, you see videos like that all the time and they just look awful. They're way too high. It's just, it's a, well. Let's see. Whoa. What is the tip in your drill? That is an axial dog bone. Like just a regular old like AX10 or Wraith dog bone that I opened up a little bit with a Dremel and then put some like Gorilla Tape on with a couple of O-rings to hold everything in there. Like it's nothing, it's just making it work. Oh man, you aren't wearing the shirt. These special pair no, these are some old hot racing pliers, just like old hot racing pliers. Let's see. Oh, someone's asking Matt, Scale Builders Guild, how many points the SCX3 has. I think maybe, you know, we'd have to check Matt's work anyway. I'm sure he'd be short quite a bit on the amount of points that it really has. He underestimates points so much. What are the wheels on this? These are the Vanquish Method 101s in bronze. What do you think about the 3D printed trailer to go behind a truck on the trail? I think that you'd have... My driving style would not be conducive to that. But, you know, if you're that like slow crawl expedition style, trying to make just super scale, then I'm sure trailers could be actually a lot of fun. Have I ran this one at all? No, I removed all the wiring out of it right away just because the wiring needed some work. So I got all that pulled out. There's so much of this stuff that I want to get changed out really. And I want to get new tire foams for it because this right now has just got the stock Proline foams in it, which are going to be too soft. So I'm sure it'll be a while before I actually run it. So is the Ripper is good for beginners? Sure. I mean, it's not a hard build or anything like that. It's just, you know, for one, you have to find one. For two, they're not cheap. SCX-10.3 or TF2 long wheelbase? For me, I would definitely say SCX-3. TF2, I mean, those are just completely different cars. Like, no, I see hardly... Very different in general. So that would just be a preference style. Like what kind of truck do I want to run? And for me, I would rather run like one with a Lexan body and a... Links are a little bit different in length, it looks like, but not enough that I'm too concerned about it. So we're going to swap these in. Is Vanquish ever going to make rippers again? No. No and no. When are you going to build another comp crawler? Hey, Ty, what's going on? Miss the old days. Ah, man, I know. I do miss comp crawling. Took your advice on Proline crawlers, my new favorite tire. It is my favorite tire for sure. I've got Hyraxes too, and those are like a super competitive tire, but I feel like they're just... These have really good performance and they look scale, so that's why they're my choice. Chest mount GoPro. Nope. The problem with that is that your chest isn't always pointing where you want to be, especially when you're on nasty terrain. And again, the angle is terrible. You want to have that camera at like 6 inches off the ground. You don't, so you want that low angle. I'm not even great at filming trucks, and those like head down walking videos they're just awful. Need to see more SCX-10.3 wheeling. As soon as I get my body back, we'll get it done. It is at the painter now. Where's your fancy water in a can? It's bubbly grapefruit right here. Oh yeah, someone caught it right there. Trailers are a pain in the neck, but a fun challenge. They can be, for sure. We used to have a trailer comp in Kansas City every year. It was a lot of fun. You never got back to me about the turbos with 1.9 Wraith that you want. Oh yeah, I do need to. Mr. Jeep 98 Jeep Cherokee. I'll have to find a way to get you a message, or shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram. That's the easiest. Is that an axial? Kind of. How much is the Ripper once you put everything in it? Just curious. You know, I don't really. Probably to finish one the first time, probably around that like 3,000 or 4,000. If you build it top of line everything like most people would. Let's see. Brad asks, see a Gens Ace, your thoughts on the best LiPo for trail competition with water feature. I pretty much run, almost all of my batteries right now are Gens Ace or their Tattoo brand, which is the same, you know, brand type thing. And I run a lot of smaller packs. So like 1300 milliamp 4S packs with a super high C rating. But since they have so many FPV packs, it's like perfect for me. But I also have like these packs. This is a 5000 milliamp 3S. I mean, like if you want just like an all day trail pack, like this is a great one. Comp stuff, that's when I run those smaller, you know, those smaller packs with a lot of punch. Night guys, hit the like button before you go. Oh, thanks Phoenix, I appreciate it. You should make a Land Rover Defender trophy camel. I do not like Defenders. You know, there's your hot take for the night. I am not a Defender fan. Who has a Ripper willing to sell? There's one for sale right now on Facebook that Chris XU has. His last name is just XU, Chris XU. I think he's got it for sale for $6,000. Matt should go live right now too. He is fun. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very funny, Schultz. What's your favorite SCX Curry Axle D44 for me? I like the. I'm an F9 fan though a lot of ways, so I don't know. I like them both. Suits is in here because Suits has my SCX 10.3 body actually. If we can't have Matt, then can we have Nicole? Schultz, I'm just gonna mute you. Hey, want to buy RC from me? It only be ran. Only be ran once. It depends on what it is. Sometimes, yes. She's watching live PD right now. Live PD is on a break right now, so there isn't any live PD. Let's see. Get these links pulled off. Actually, there's one for an auction too. I wonder if he's talking about a Ripper. Is there one for an auction going on for an auction right now? All right, we're gonna get to the bottom because again, if we miss comments, we'll have to go back. Sacrilege, you don't like Defenders, I know. Let's see. Vanquish. You got Vanquish Links on the SCX-10-2 with the AR-44, and the link that goes between the two front tires was either bent a little too much or it's too short because there's tire towing. Any idea? Well, I mean, depending on what it is, you can either just thread out the links a little bit so you adjust your toe, or I mean, if it's just way too much, just send an email. Just checked eBay, no ripper there. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like one of those sticker sale auctions. Seems risky on that kind of item with how much money there would be. Just came to this stream to tell you that there's a ripper auction, 100 tickets at $70 a piece. Whew. So it is one of those sticker sales. That's a pretty rowdy auction, that's for sure. 7K. How about the red rear taillights? How about the red rear light bar? Oh, those were just made, you know, for the ripper. That's not really something that was ever looked to be as a product itself. What's the frequency of maintenance on your rigs? The frequency for me is usually when something breaks, I'll fix it. Or if it's like got a real nasty squeak, then okay, I'll fix it. But I don't, you know, I really have to, maybe if there's like an event coming up or something, you know, that I'm got a little bit more concern over. But generally I don't have like a lot of parts that are wearing out. So it's usually just if I want to do like a bearing refresh, I'll tear things down, put new bearings in, re-grease. That's kind of it. Strawberries are the best fruit ever. I probably agree. These are actually frozen though, which, you know, makes it even better. What color is my SCX-10 going to be? So I had said something before about what color, and then I changed my mind. So I was going to go lime green, but then I decided not to. So it's going to be a different color instead. That's about the same maintenance the rest of us do. Yeah, you know, it's no reason to go overboard. What did you do about the front left shock tower not matching the frame on the SCX-10 I kind of noticed that a little bit too when I was assembling it. Basically, I just put the rear screw in first, I think, and then didn't tighten it down, just got the front, got everything in there and tightened it all down. And then it was fine. So badass that you make your living working around RC cars. Definitely the dream. It is, yeah, it is. I love it. Super lucky to do. Where's the DeWalt screwdriver? I have it. It's over here. These screws are so short that I'd rather not make you guys listen to the sound of that DeWalt all night. So, or for, you know, if they were like long-winded screws, I would absolutely get it. But trying to be courteous to your ears. Pumpkin spice orange. Well, I wouldn't call it pumpkin spice, but I am known to be a fan of orange. However, on this one, I did decide to kind of go after the look of another vehicle that I really like. So I'm sure maybe Suits will have When he finishes it, he can always post a picture. But I don't assume that will be real soon since he just got it. What do you think of the brass? What do you think of brass on TRX4 Sport? Bah. It's not for me. It's overused. Don't suggest it. Not unless you have to. Like all of those words. Try not to. And if you're ever hooking brass to the chassis, you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't have a brass bumper mount. Let's see. Hydra Dip the SCX-10 III. Come on, just do it. No. Best brush motor ESC using 3S thin long pack 30 and using a tall 2.2 tire crawl. Wow, that's a lot of sentence there. I don't even remember what the question is at that point. Best brush motor ESC. Okay. Well, I mean, best, I hate when people, I don't like to use the word best because it's like best for your budget or best for, like, if I was going to run the best, I'd get a, you know, full, like a hand wound Holmes Hobbies motor, maybe even like one of the custom Polar 500s. But, you know, you're looking at like $160 brushed motor. Like, is that really what you're looking for? Or are you looking for the best on a budget, you know? Like, because the best of anything can be a lot of money. What do you, any VP axle plans for the Element Enduro? We don't really announce things like that until like we're gonna release a product, you know? Sorry. Why are steering servos not fitting on the SCX-10 III? Because that is a really tight like setup going in there. I used a Futaba S9177 and it dropped right in like it was made for it. So it just depends on what servo you're going to use. I could totally see that issue coming though. So oof. Why does it seem like people only stream at night? Because a lot of us like still have jobs and stuff. And today, I would have streamed during the day, but I was trying to finish the Flip That Truck video. So I filmed it and then editing was slow because it was kind of a lazy Sunday. And then by the time I got back in here, it was already 8. But, you know, I'll try and do some more reasonably timed ones. I think that Matt and I should start doing a more afternoon on Sunday stream, early afternoon. You have an inside scoop on UCFab Capra chassis. I don't know what you mean by inside scoop. What do I think of the Red Cat Gen 8? It wasn't for me in a lot of ways. Let's see. All right, we're getting there. Any VP independent suspension ideas for the future? Oh, again, we don't really talk it like, even if there was one coming out in a week, which there's not, like, you know, that's not like a question I could answer on this until it was ready to release. So. Any advice for Capra front axle upgrades without spending $250 on an axle? No, not unless you go with like a cheap axle. What's the worst RC I ever owned? Ooh, it's a really good question and a tough one. I've owned a lot of RCs. Huh. I think my least favorite, Now, the first one that comes to mind is the Kyosho Rock Force. That was my least favorite. But in all honesty, the Losi Comp Crawler would have been close to it. Like, I just didn't like it. What are my thoughts on the Traxxas Max? Seems like a cool basher. I wouldn't mind having one, but it's not something I've like jumped out to buy. Do you still star cut your phones? No, I'm pretty sure Crunky knows that. But it's a name I don't get to see all that much anymore. How did you go from designing roads to working at Vanquish? I was a civil engineer for a long time, and it was one of those things that I did the hobby stuff forever, just like everyone else. And ooh, I should check this upper link length. Always did it, you know, all just pushed at that stuff forever. And one of those things that an opportunity just finally came up, and but I was so active in the hobby for so long. It was one of those things that tried and tried and tried, just kept pushing. Works. Axial bomber or Yeti? Definitely a bomber for me. And actually getting a Yeti anymore is really difficult. Have you and Matt started discussion for the next budget build-off series? We've definitely been discussing different series, and you know, whether it be budget or mayhem, and we just have to, we're working on it. Damn, these are tight. What did I put that on with? How about the RC you out and put into the brake press? That's okay. That's a good one. I wasn't counting the Chinese knockoff one that the knockoff Wraith twin hammers thing that we put into the 100-ton press at Laser Nut. That was just kind of fun. What's the difference between a bomber and a Yeti? A Yeti is a tub chassis independent front suspension, where a bomber is a solid axle front and rear with a tube style chassis. This link's a couple millimeters shorter than what they had on here, but let's see how it works. Why are you changing links? Missed the first part. The links that were on here were just like mismatched and thin, and had some long rod ends, some short, some of the threads were exposed. It just kind of had like a link set on it that was, you know, some leftovers and things like that. And I just want it to be as nice and you know, perfect as possible. So there's nothing wrong with them, but I just wanted it to be better. Where is my element? It's right there. You can see it barely. It's gray. You can find a couple of Yeti on eBay. Yeah, but that's going to be the problem. It's going to be real hard to find Yeti stuff as time goes. So you got to be prepared for that if that's the route you want to go. I would beware of that. But the replacement for that would be the Rock Ray. How many exos have you melted? Yeah, just the one. Is that right? Ooh, these front lowers are considerably longer. There's our difference. I need a much longer front lower link. it kicked out the caster quite a bit. So that's going to need some digging around. Aaron Stevenson, what's going on, buddy? Long time. Hey, you must have started the wheels before you started that crazy diet. Or you must have tightened the wheels. Wow. Let's see. SCX-10 or 3 for a first-time rig. I would just get a 3. Just get the newest stuff and yeah. What do I think of RPP Hobby in Mendocino? Have you ever gone into the store? I've never been into the store, but I mean, they're just for an online store, like most people know them. They're, you know, one of the best. How come I never saw you use Voodoo KLRs? I used them on the Deadbolt budget build way back in the day. I think it might have been after the actual budget build part was over. I swapped them on there and ran them on there for a while. Aaron says, hey, I built that EXO. He did build that EXO that burned to the ground. Do you think I would buy a Traxxas UDR? I would. I think those are sweet. What do you do at Vanquish? I solve problems that I mainly created. Do you think the bomber will be discontinued? God, I hope not. I think that it's different enough from everything else that they have that they'll keep it going. What is the best brush motor in ESC for a TRX4? Go watch my TRX4 budget build. I kind of cover that pretty early even too, so you don't have to watch that far in. The EXO wasn't his fault. It was the battery's fault. And specifically Aaron Evote, Evil Villain RC's battery. What is the stupidest thing that you have done while building new kits? Ooh. Man. I've done a lot of stupid things while building a kit, so that's some of it live on video. I'm pretty sure that would have been the Yeti XL live build when I was filling the shocks. I got a Wraith and a Bomber and a Yeti. Bomber's the best. Can't run them at the moment because of lockdown in New Zealand. Yeah? Ooh. You can't even go outside? That's a bummer. Is the SCX-10 trans a pain to assemble? If you mean the SCX-10 III, then yeah, kind of. If you mean SCX-10 original, then no, definitely not. Have I tried RC planes or helicopters? I've got some like FPV wings, so single. I don't have any actual like regular traditional planes, and then I've got some FPV quads, and then just like regular drone, you know, DJI camera stuff. But I would like to do more flying. If I got an SCX-10 a day before, I got an SCX-10 the day before the 3 came out, and I was so upset. It does suck. Do I like the 1.9 Wraith? Yes, love it. How many microservos does an SCX-10 take? It takes 2 microservos, if you plan to use both the dig and the 2-speed. Were you disappointed in the capper when you got it? Seems like you didn't see much of it. I was a little bit disappointed with how it drove, mainly. You know, it needs the shorter shocks, and I just don't like the transmission, the gearing. But with the new UC Fab skid plate, it made for a 3-gear trans, I think that's going to be a winner. What metal axles fit a C2X? I don't know, but because I think that's made off of like SCX-10 stuff. So on the Pro, you running the battery and the stock holder on the side. I'm running it on the side, but I run those little packs, so it fits super easy over there. But I think I can fit like a 4,000 pack over there. Tasted shock oil. Yeah, I can't remember if I tasted it or not, but it definitely. It would be nice if they brought back the bomber kit. I know what you mean. It just seems like the kits just didn't do that well. Why are shocks tilted forward or toward the cab on most rigs, but kits come with them standing up vertical? What? I don't 100% understand your question. The stupidest thing he did while building a kit was last week when he forgot to put the bleeder screw in the shock and forgot the pinion in the axle. No, like those are just like, that's just like a regular mistake for me. That wasn't even that bad. I mean, shooting shock fluid all over the table was funny, but where's a good source for fab tabs? I can only find them in stock on Amazon. It's a tough thing because there's not a lot of us who actually like fabricate stuff. So Scalar Fab, RCP, RPP, BPR, or is it? Yeah, BPRC or BPC. It's just BPC. Any tips for fitting big tires on OMF wheels? Bead keeps slipping out. You can find one or make one of those tire compressors, which helps. It's basically like two big plates with holes in the middle for the wheel and then wing nuts. Do you know any engineers in San Diego? I don't know if I do. Looking to get a 1-inch or 2-inch Vanquish light bar. Do you know the voltage requirements and how to plug into a bomber with a Hobbywing 1080? I mean, you can run it on a 2S LiPo, but 3S is better. And you wire it right into the battery plug, so it doesn't really matter what ESC you're running. Just run it right to the plug. And 3S will work fine if you're running 3S. I have an HPI Venture, and it seems like people are copying a little bit from them. I don't know about that. HPI was kind of behind on so much of it. Their axles were, multi-piece with like the clamping. That wasn't great. I mean, it had a forward motor, but they weren't the first one to do that by any means. I don't know that HPI, anybody was copying HPI really. The Venture just, if it would have came out when it was supposed to, it'd have been great. But other than that, it just bomber revamp. I highly doubt it, just because 2.2 stuff has kind of fallen so far out of popularity. Let's see. Did you check out Tiger King yet? Of course. I binged watched it in 2 nights. Toyzukis are popular in comps. Can the VS410 compete with them? Toyzuki stuff is very comp driven. It's very, flat plate, thin, straight. And it's but they're very made for competition. Super lightweight, things like that. Can the VS410 compete with it? I mean, it's all up to a driver in the end, but you're probably going to have a competitive advantage if you're going like just flat plate chassis, super lightweight, things like that. So, but the VS410 is still the route I would go every day. My SCX-10 II desperately needs more weight up front, but I don't want brass. Any tips? Why does it need more weight up front? Just, can you not move around the things that you already have? Like, take the things that you have to have in the truck and move them around. Make sure your ESC's up there. Make sure your battery's forward. And then if you can't add anything, you can look at adding weight to things you don't have to spin, or just adding a small amount of weight to where you, like a brake weight, keeps it towards the center. You don't get as big of a flywheel effect, or, a set of brass knuckles is an option if you have to add weight. There's different things you can do, but really ask yourself if you actually need to add weight. Stare blankly into the screen if VP has something special coming out. I like your approach, sir. The sharks are leaning toward the cab both front and back, but on kits they come standing up vertical. Why is that? I mean, again, like you said, the shocks are leaning towards the cab both front and, I don't know what, do you mean on a real truck? I think that shocks come mainly standing up to emulate the suspension of a real truck. Like when you see people like lay them way down for comp stuff, it's, it doesn't look very realistic. There's enough, and that's what you kind of need to emulate in a kit. So, I thought the truck in front of you had an exclamation point brake lights, but now I see are lowercase i's. Yes, I had them done the other way, and then someone commented that a C10 has them flipped, and I was like, well, I really wasn't going for that much realism, but I was like, well, why not? I needed to make some modifications to the design anyway, and just done, did it. Hey man, the Venture still competes with the Enduro and SCX10 too. It does, but like availability is bad. Parts are going to run out. That the truck just isn't ever going to see aftermarket support. It's just not a truck I would recommend to anybody. I'm not saying that it's a bad truck out of the box. It's just it had plastic links. It had, the pivot ball locations at the chassis side were more narrow than anything else. So even finding good rod ends to fit it, takes modification. It fell short. Let's see. I'd say the SCX-10.3 is close to an Ascender. I would say the SCX-10.3 is far past an Ascender. The Ascender had those just critical failures too, which made it not very popular, especially when it came out. The gear problems were bad, and then just the gear ratio never being good, just never made it popular. It had so much good about, like, the chassis that came on the Ascender was a really good chassis. It was better than an SCX-10 too, but the transmission wasn't that great. The axles were not good. The strength of those things just fell short, and it made it just, it's like, why would I buy this when I can buy this other option that's going to lend me with better options in the end? Otherwise it would have done better. Because like I said, like the base of it, the chassis was better. It was stout, had the adjustability. The shock towers were super stout. There was just a lot of good things about it. Oh, sorry. Comments jumped. I will give you $20 to shave your beard. No, thank you. What do you use to power the lights on your trucks? I've never used lights, but I want. Well, it really depends. All lights are different. You got to check what yours are actually made for. Like all the lights that are on this truck are ready for 12 volt. So they're, I'll run them right into a 3S or even a 4S LiPo. Because when they're said they're made for 12 volt, like a lot of times that's for like a vehicle, which a vehicle when it's running is 14.4 volts. So these lights will run at that without a problem. Let's see. It took a month for my Scale Builders Kit Venture to arrive. That's... What software do you use for designs for 3D printing? Fusion 360 if I'm at home, or SolidWorks if I'm at work. So Fusion 360 is free, and there's a ton of tutorials online. So tons of stuff you can find there. Have you ever heard a dude named Scale Madness? I don't think so. Do the VS410's Pro kits come with different spring rates, or do you have to get them separately? It just comes with one spring rate. It's the soft springs all the way around. 10 I give to take his mustache off. It's just so you take the mustache and leave the beard? I don't think so. Clarify, please. 12.3 incision links used in a sport kit build-off, but VP site says not. Yeah, it's technically because the rod ends on the sport are different than the other ones. I used them on there because it still technically will work in certain ways, but it's not like the other. They look almost the same as the other rod ends, but they're different. I don't know why. That's the big debate on Facebook right now. And you'd be surprised how many people like them. I got 2 SCXs and an Ascender, each its own. I think that the biggest debate about the whole which one would be better is that the Futera never really sold very well. So, like, some of that is, I think people will argue some really bad points, but tell you that the Vitara just had too many downsides to be the right truck. So I've got to figure out how to get this. I need this link longer. Let's see. Good thing is I have link boxes organized by length. So we'll check the eye-to-eye length. So our eye-to-eye length is roughly 130, we'll call it. So I need 115 millimeter link. So not in the 120 box, but in the 150. I know that BFG tires that came on that. Ooh. Sorry. Okay, sorry. The comments I'm behind on trying to. Running LEDs straight from the 11.1 battery, will it hurt the battery? I mean, technically, if you just leave the lights plugged in, just until it goes dead, then yes, it will kill a battery. But if you unplug the car like you should when you're done using it, then no. LEDs hardly draw any power. There's nothing wrong with it. Have you ever thought about using two SCX10 transmissions, one of the trans up front and one for the center case on the skid plate? It will give tons of torque. I mean, it's all about overall gear ratio. I don't know why you would want to do that. The overall ratio I want is usually around 45 to 50 to 1. So technically, you know, I guess I wouldn't want that. I would just have to figure out a way to get my gear ratio back in the end. So that is the reason I wouldn't go that way. So I need to find 115 millimeter links. Sorry. Nerd alert, thanks. Ooh. That's a 117, so we're close. We're in the right ballpark. Maybe it'll even work. Problem is I have to find two of everything. What length are these that I have multiples of? .110, that's too short. Will incision drive shafts fit on a TRX4 Sport? Oh man, I actually don't know that off the top of my head. I would have to. What is the T on the back wall? That's for my last name. Just a cutout T. What calipers are you using? Mitutoyo's. Model number CD 6-inch CS. And how old are these? I don't know, but these things have to be like, I don't know, 15 years old. Just like this enormous box of links. Of links that I have made and had forever. What's this one? Oh, that's titanium, I think. $110 anyway. What kind of grease do you recommend for gears inside of an axle? Heard people using marine grease. Yeah, you can use that. I use bearing grease or there's a, you know, the Vanquish grease is honestly it's great grease though as well. Got to have another link like that. Oh, I bet that's super loud. I apologize. I didn't realize that that would be right there. Will it burn up LEDs? They should run at 3.7 volts. Like I said, it depends on what LEDs you have. Like LED strip, you know. LED strip like this stuff is generally made to run at 12 volts. So you can plug this right into 12 volts because it has the resistors right on the strip. So like I said, it all depends. Same that goes for like a Vanquish light bar. Those are made to run at 12 volts. But if you have like an axial string of lights like these are made for running at different voltages. Like red lights are made to run at 3 volts and clear are made to run at 5 volts. So sometimes you need a light controller. Sometimes you can run right to a battery, or sometimes they have a receiver or a resistor in line to run into a receiver. It all depends on what you have. There isn't just one answer to that. Wants to make all links match and look better, digs through a huge box of random links. Yeah, but like this link is a stainless link that would match perfectly with these. Like you can't even tell the difference except the length. See? I have a huge box of random links that many of them are perfectly new. Some of these are not. Some of these are like scrap links and things like that, but not all of them. God, need this one. I need another one just like this. Very difficult. Let's see. I don't know what that means. Do I prefer 4130 or mild steel for cage fab? For me, mild steel. It's just easier to work with. And for me, I'm not finding the need to go to 4130. Plus, it's a little bit harder to weld 4130. And, you know. Why doesn't Vanquish do steel wheels? I mean, heavier than aluminum. Just not something that we would find the need for, and you have to go to completely different types of coatings, and I would maintain that I don't think you should run a super heavy wheel. Carol Baskins buried her under the septic. Buried him under the septic tank. Why are you ever not live on YouTube? Welcome back, Rich. Listen, everybody's at home right now. We should all be working on RC cars and not thinking about everything else that's going on. Damn it. And we get to play this fun game of, let's see if Josh can find 2 links that match. This is everyone's favorite game. Not sure if you knew that. You know what I should check? That this is so close. I should check to see that I didn't sort one into the 120 millimeter plus box. See, I have these broken up into what, less than 80, then 80 to 120, and then 120 plus. So Who's Carol Baskin? Oh, you're lucky you don't know. Carol Baskin is the, hey, all you cool cats and kittens. She's a terrible lady. That's who. This is going to be very... It's going to make me mad if I can't find it. Try the capper axles on the SCX-10 III. That's not going to work because the SCX-10 III has the offset front diff that it requires. So. Wife, have you seen my Tupperware? Nope. Let's see. I have a used E-Flight LED controller for planes. It was small and cheap and allows for turning lights on and off. It says it likes up to 5.5 volts. Any cheap LED controller for 6 to 7.4. I don't know. Honestly, if it said 5.5, I'd throw 6 to 7.4 in it without much concern. I live right around where all that Tiger King stuff went down. Nice. Did you ever go to the GW Zoo, though? I like how you place the checked links back in the box so you can check them again. Good point, Bill. Do you think an R2 transmission would handle a brushless setup? Sorry, I don't mean to eat while on. Oh, damn it. And I still put it back in there. I don't want to make a mess. But thinking of Crunky's comment there about an R2 transmission with brushless, I can't imagine how most people in here have no idea what an R2 transmission is. Oh, I think that's titanium. Yeah. And it's like a millimeter longer. Oh, maybe if I find another one of those. Thoughts on the new Red Cat? Do you think 2.2s are coming back? I mean, that new Red Cat is, I think it's a good thing for them to do. It helps kind of fill a market. I don't think that 2.2s are coming back, though. Not right now, anyway. And I don't think that car is going to do it. Nowhere close. Dang it. I'm going to start building cages and chassis. Is your setup table a necessity? Or on one of those things, sanity set? Yeah, you don't need it. I wouldn't necessarily just run out and start with a chassis fab table. Just start building and, you'll get there. There's no reason to get it right away. If later on you think you see the benefit, then pick yourself up one. But most chassis ever built were not built with any sort of jig or, anything more than like a tape measure. So I would not worry. Ooh, Colin gave me 20 bucks. It's awesome. Always enjoy watching your footage. Just got into scale crawling last year. Have found your channel to be a huge help. Well, thank you back. Thank you for the donation. It isn't an R2 an RC four-wheel drive transmission. It is an RC four-wheel drive transmission from maybe like 2008 or 9. It might have been 2007 even. I can't remember for sure. I know I used it in one of my very first comp builds. Let's see. Works for an RC company. Can't find 2 links. Just go grab some off the shelf. I would, but there's like a long ways away. If I can't find them, I know exactly where 115 millimeter links are at the office, because 115 millimeter length is the length of an unbent Wraith or Bomber front lower link. So the only reason I'm still looking is because there's a chance then that I do have one here. So many. They're just too long. I think my cousin bought a lion from Joe Exotic. Your cousin bought a lion? Total Napoleon Dynamite. Dang it right there. Dang it. One of the best movies ever. All right, we're going back to the other box. What's wrong with the R2 transmission? Nothing is wrong with it. It was a really good transmission in the day, other than the fact that it was really easy to blow up the gears, even with a brushed motor, let alone a brushless motor. All right, we're digging back in. And I'm going to do like Bill said and take out the links that I know are not right. And a lot of these small diameter ones I'm not even checking, because the whole point of this was to make it look the same. Oh, 5 mil too short. Brand new to RC crawling. What is the best route to go? Buy a used SCX-10 or something like that, or buy a new SCX-10 III, or save up for a solid rig like a Vanquish VS410 Pro. I would get something now. By all means, buy a VS410 Pro later on down the road, whatever. But, you know, get into the hobby. Just jump in. And a used SCX-10 II, you can honestly, lots of times, find really good rigs. Buying used, but, you know, there's always that gamble. So sometimes if going and buying an RTR, getting out on the trail and learning it is a good start. But just get in there. If you want to buy something today, buy something and then have fun. There isn't an SCX-10 III RTR yet, so you're kind of, I'm sure it won't be too far behind, but, you know, just get into the hobby. The hobby is so much fun that you know, even if you don't have, you know, you don't have enough saved up right now for an SCX-3, yes! Found them. Sorry. I don't remember what I was saying now. Success. 10 o'clock. And nobody F's with a lion, bro. Dante. So, I won't be running a dig in my Capra when I get the UC Fab skid, at least for now. Yeah, you don't have to run it, but either way, I think that's still a better transmission. It's going to get you a better gear ratio as well. Treat it like Legos and dump the box out. I was trying to avoid that. And we found it, so. The joy. Whoop, whoop. Happy. That type of thing turns people away from it. What do you mean? You don't want to learn on $1,000 rig. I mean, see there, I think there's a lot of, damn it, I took the rod end off the one I still needed to keep. You know, I think that's one of those opinions that a lot of people actually do buy that type of thing for a first rig because they just know like they're going to buy it once and have what they want. But that's, you know, and it might just be on somebody's budget. Whereas somebody might only have, I mean, go extreme. They have $100 or something like that, and they buy themselves some knockoff truck off Banggood. Then they get it and it doesn't work right and things are bad quality and they fall apart. And now they're just like, well, I'm kind of done with that because I bought, you know, they have this sour taste in their mouth of what RC is. So it just depends on your budget. People can get turned away when they buy a really good rig that's just not going to be for them. So some people are going to find it that they like it and some aren't. So let's, I missed a bunch as I got on my rant, I'm sure. I'll point out that there's a wall of matching links behind you. I don't know what that means. Let's see. I love how a chick who got her arm bit off by a tiger has a nickname of Safety. I think it was just Saffy, S-A-F-F, or Saf or Saffy, not Safety. I plan on getting a VS410 Pro kit, and you know, I don't think anybody who does will be disappointed with it, no matter if they're new or not. Are you taking those axles off to put TLTs on? TLT axles, man. Get your new TLT axles out, and then you have to. So, you know, everyone was complaining about. Back in the day, we used to get our TLT axles, and then we'd have to cut the ears off the C hubs so that we could put our metal C's on. But you had to literally cut the housing off and bolt and clamp these things on. Whew, it's good stuff. You found the links you were looking for, and I found my keys to my truck that I lost 2 weeks ago on top of the refrigerator. I still have an SCX-10-1 I'm thinking about restoring. Should I? I'm not much of a restore a RC guy, so, you know, that would have to be a sentimental thing for you, I think. Where can I purchase that blue tool? Google RC Scaleworks. Can you put a Toyota body on a Wraith? I put one on mine. Take a lot of cutting and fitting, but looks awesome. Sounds like you can then. There you go. Asked and answered. My TRX4 was my best ever buy to date. TRX4s are great trucks. They're very durable. The performance of them is not my favorite. I wish that they drove a little bit better out of the box. But I think we're okay. Making sure everything cleared. Where is that UC Fab capper skid going to be available? He posted it on his Facebook page today with a link to the UC Fab website. So I would start there. Think about what RC was like before the internet. That's true. I mean, I was on it, you know, in the early days of forums, but I think it still needs a... My pinion angle is just not right. I don't know how much longer those lower links were. About the same. I think my upper link needs a little adjustment. I got mad as hell. Have to wait 5 days on a part. Yeah, right? Why do you not suggest heavy wheels or adding wheel weights? It's just, for performance wise, I find it better to not have heavy wheels. I don't like, you know, it takes away the snappiness of your drivetrain. It puts a lot more stress on drive shafts and axle shafts, and there's so many things that it affects that it's just not something I personally suggest in how I like to run them. It's an easy, in a lot of ways, it kind of is like a band-aid, as it's kind of easy to make it feel planted when you have a bunch of weight in the wheels. But if you really get around to tuning things or find a setup that you really find works well, then you can do so much more with a truck that you're not having to try and carry a bunch of weight around with. So, I still have PTI Goliath axles, way back. I still have my SCX10 deadbolt Harley talked me into buying. Not bad. Already available on Tower. I'm not sure what you mean there. We're gonna jump down to the bottom. What was the parts like trying to get back in? Is there a portal conversion for a rear rock jock? Nope. No to exceed RC. I didn't see that question, but my SX103 is sitting in its unopened box. Initially wasn't expecting it until late April. Have too many other crawler projects in the works before I get onto the 3. And it will be orange. I think it'll be in good company. It will climb a rock cliff. What does that mean? Exo Cage has a little SCX102 he calls super light. It's like 6 pounds with a 2S. That's not even that light. I mean, some people have super light trucks that are just, you know. Do I name my rigs? I don't come up with just like a name because, but if I like refer to some, like I keep calling this one the Woods Runner, a C10 Woods Runner, because it looks just like my original Woods Runner build, but with a C10 body instead of the Scout body. So, and then beyond that, no, like that's the Ultra, that's my Class 2 Jeep, that's the 4Runner VS410, you know, like unless they really have like something that I just keep calling them for some reason, I don't name them. Is there a particular amount of caster you like in the front end? I like around like 20 degrees. Like that's pretty substantial, but this one was having way more and the drive shaft was getting pretty steep. So I didn't like that. Every time Harley posts a video, it costs me money. Thanks, Brad. Along with the other comments, if not wheel weights, what about brass parts that don't spin to get weight low? Again, if you need weight, like you have to have it for your setup just isn't working otherwise, you have something super heavy up top, then okay. But for the most part, like just keep the weight of all the items you can forward and low, and you usually don't have to add weight. Like don't just add weight to add weight. Like if you have to get it, if you need it for some reason, like center of gravity is just too high, then okay. But otherwise, you're just, if you're climbing something, you literally have to have enough weight, or you literally have to pull up that much more weight up whatever you're climbing, you know. It's, and while, you know, like on a perfectly flat ground, yeah, the weight also adds traction to the surface because you're perpendicular to the force of gravity. But as you start going up something steep, that you don't get that traction the same way. You get a, you know, it's a compound vector basically. So you still have gravity going straight down, but you need you need traction at this point. So you're only getting some of it. And the other portion of that force is trying to keep you down from climbing up. So the steeper and steeper you go, the more and more that weight is against you. That's why you don't just want to keep adding weight to climb things. How's the no prep coming along? I need to get my motor and ESC in, and then basically I'll be ready to go racing. So now that national stuff is all over and getting back into a normal routine, we'll be good to go. Trevor's asking, is that the PRT skid that's listed on his site? No, this is specifically for a Capra. It might not be on his site just yet, but I'm sure it will be soon. He posted it on his Facebook today or tonight. So let's see. What do you think of portals on a 1.9 Wraith? I saw someone on YouTube do it and it was interesting. I don't love just putting portals on everything. So it's not something for me personally. I think the 1.9 Wraith is awesome with straight axles. Do you think doing a Flip That Truck series would be good to do in a long run for someone in the hobby? I mean, it's a fun experiment no matter who you are. It doesn't really, So yeah, why not? Let's see. What wheels are those? I assume you mean these. These are the, there's my wheel nut. These are the bronze Method 101s from Vanquish. Pretty snazzy looking. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Capper skid is supposed to be on UC Fab tomorrow. There you go. Bill's got it. So we need to go, let's see, what did I needed to find one slightly longer than this. That's too much longer. Back to the link box. Is that too long? Let's mock it into place and see what that looks like. All right. Oh, come on. There we go. Actually, that's pretty good. We're going to roll with it. You should do a brazing live show. I could. I think that would have to be one I would have to do with Nicole, though. Because there's no way I'd be able to watch comments at all while doing that. And my streaming setup is, I've got like a full PC under here and all my cameras, and I would have to like really set up for that. But it's something I think would be fun to do. I'd really have to talk her into a longer video though, because a short video like that, we would not get much done. Oh, this actually needs a little bit of a spacer on this shock. It starts to hit. Lucky for me, I have a whole little bag of spacers here. Have you ever put a full light kit into crawler like the working blinkers and taillights? No. Actually, these are too thin. I think I have thicker. No, I've never done a light set like that because, It's like I'm mainly driving off-road, and you'd never be using blinkers and stuff like that off-road. So for me, it's never been a something I've been looking to do. It's getting pretty close to needing a longer screw. Ooh, sorry. Are you all scale, Josh? I mean, for the most part, kind of, I guess. You do not do bashers or nothing else. I mean, I've got bashers. I have like an Arma Outcast, which is fun to drive. I just don't do videos on it. And yeah, for the most part, like video-wise, I like to do scale just because it's what I know and what I think I can talk intelligently about. You know. Decision time for my 10.3. Would you go a 2700 kV brushless and forget the 2-speed, or something like a 1900 kV and use the 2-speed? I chose to do a 2700 kV, and I'm gonna hook up the 2-speed, you know, just to test with, but that needs a longer screw. I'm not gonna avoid or just ignore that for now. So I went with the 2700 just because, especially if I end up taking out the 2-speed, which is what I honestly expect I'll do, then I don't want to have to go through and also change out the motor and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, don't forget the spacer. I have a 3D printed 78 Dodge truck I'm building for my daughter, and I use my real, on my real truck, it's orange, and she requested I make it rusty like the real one. That's pretty funny. Wraith 19 or SCX3? Oh, that's a, see, I always say, if you can only have one, I'd probably go for an SCX3 just because it's the newer one. It'll be more exciting and fun. But that's a tough question for me. The Wraith 19 is definitely something I would put on the should own list. But if you only get one, then SCX3 is probably the better choice. This screw is way too long. It's going to need to be cut down afterwards. I need like a 27 millimeter screw, and for some reason those are a little bit harder to come around. When you do a build, how long does it take you to pick the wheels and tires? Minutes, not long. I usually have a pretty good idea what I want to use. How difficult would it, well, sorry, jumping. How difficult would it be to put capper axles on an SCX-10 II? Pretty easy. I mean, I don't think it would be difficult at all. It's actually very simple. Watch my video tomorrow morning. Vanquish should sell different sizes of links just on their own and not in a kit. We used to do that with titanium. We've thought about it with stainless again. It's just like it's a whole thing to do. Don't you own a file? For what? What's my favorite truck I own? It's probably my VS410 Pro, just because it's not very far from stock, but it's the one I like the best. I work with composites every day, carbon fiber, etc. I haven't done much metal fab, and your cage build videos are awesome. Are you going to get into composites and incorporate them into your builds? Yes, Justin, yes. Learning carbon fiber stuff is like the highest on my list. Like right now I watch all kinds of videos on how to make the molds, how to do the resin or pre-preg, and I haven't bought a vacuum pump and all that yet, but that is like the highest thing on my list right now, is getting a good vacuum pump and the matting and the foam and everything I need to start learning how to make my own carbon fiber parts. I'm obsessed with learning about that right now. So yes, it is. You'll have to let me know where you work and see if, you know, what you guys sell. Cause that's super high on my like list right now. Would you be surprised if Matt transformed his Ripper into a leaf sprung rig? I would repo it somehow. Cool. Bronze 101s just cost me $140. When you go out crawling, what do you take as far as tools, parts, battery packs, etc.? So most of the time I don't have to take much, just because usually I'm pretty confident that my rigs are not going to break. So usually I just have some real basic tools. Like I carry this little like bottle of, or you know, whatever thing of random nuts and screws and washers and stuff like that, just in case like something rattles loose. Tool set like this Traxxas one. It's got like all the tool drivers you need in it with a little handle. And the batteries. It's just like, and a set of needle nose pliers, like a couple zip ties, super basic. Usually pretty confident that my rigs are going to get me there. Let's see. Oh, Galen Garrett gave me $10. Sorry, I'm sure it's been asked. Have you been out of work? And has Vanquish seen any possible long-term effect from being quarantined? So we are functioning currently at like a smaller capacity, I guess. We're probably about a 50% staff, just, you know, just kind of essential people are there. But both of our shipping people are out just for health precautions in general. And so that means that I myself and one of our other engineers are handling shipping, which, whew. So if you place an order at Vanquish this week, you know, you can make a request for a very high quality picture if you'd like. But, you know, I'm sure there will be long-term effects as far as just lots of, you know, things that are going to affect people in different ways. I can't predict it, but right now, you know, we're operating and our suppliers are operating, so crossing our fingers. Are you selling any of your crawlers? I have on my website, which is harleydesigns.com. You can go there and I have like a for sale section. And you'll see a new truck there for sale tomorrow. A file can shorten a link in a second. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, but like the shoulders are where it needs to be shortened. So that would be a little bit more difficult. And I'd have to take links off the ends. Like, these are pretty specific. Your tools are worth more than my life. I doubt that. Let's see. I wish I would buy better tools, though. I use whatever I can find. I know what you mean. It took a long time for me to like gather all of the tools that I have now, which now, you know, I'm pretty happy with my tool set, but I used like L key Allen wrenches for a long time and then got another set that was cheap and wore out too fast. And I still used it and like, whew. Can I request that Josh doesn't pack my orders? That would be the best request you could make. I'm a composite tech for General Atomics Aeronautical. Oh. I'd start with a wet layup, honestly. It's easy to get into. I make parts from home all the time. I'm in Southern California. Dude, that sounds amazing, though. I have a million questions I could ask you. Yeah, I could go into like a full thing about how much of this stuff I want to learn from. One of the other guys that I watch on YouTube, his name is Mike, I don't know how you say his last name, Patey. He's rebuilding. He had like a bush plane that it was called Draco, I think. Anyway, it was like a uber lightweight, high power, short takeoff and landing plane. It's so amazing. He crashed it last year, and he's rebuilding it, rebuilding a new one, basically from a carbon cub. And he goes through his carbon fiber process of making molds and then pulling his parts, and like, oh, I'm obsessed with that stuff. What is my position at working at Vanquish? I'm an engineer. All of us have to do so many different things. We're a pretty small company, so there's some people that only do what they do, but some of us have to kind of float around, and I do all of the things that, you know, sometimes need done, like EPA permitting, and there's just a million things that go along with both running a machine shop, running a retail website, and scheduling of what parts we should be doing, thinking about what parts we should be doing first for new projects, making sure that everybody's getting everything done, and there's just a stupid long list of things. Dealing with, you know, distributors and customers and dealers. And Josh, trying to find a C10 body, fit a C10 body as low as possible on my 10.2 chassis, but I have the VP rock sliders, which I think need to be removed. So I need a spot for my ESC and receiver inside the chassis. What can I use? I mean, you're going to try and, I wouldn't try and hang the body too much below where the sliders go. Normally I would just trim the body up on the sides, but if you need to run it in the center, I would just come up with like an aluminum plate. Find some of that 0.025 aluminum that I always use. You know, this is that aluminum. It's 0.025 inches thick. You can find it, I think, at Home Depot and stuff now. But you can just work fine with like a pair of tin snips and a regular hand drill. Bend it, cut it, fit it to wherever you need. Make yourself a little ESC tray, whatever it takes. Like, this stuff is super handy. Or buy 1-inch angle aluminum at Home Depot, the real thin stuff. Makes for making super easy L brackets off the chassis, then gives you a place to mount things. Those are my two like favorite quick and dirty materials for getting something like that done. I'm reminded of the Office episode when Dwight, Kevin working in shipping. Oh yeah. That was oh my God. Senior packing, I can't remember what they called that. Let's see. Taking a break from building the USDE 2021 travel truck to watch other people build trucks. Hey. I still got some of my wrenches, and in most cases they are better. Of my eye wrenches. In most cases they're better quality. Does it seem like the TRX4 got flack for portals and the SCX-10 III won't? Yes, indeed, kind of. But I think it's just because now everybody sees portals and they have to have portals. So it's just one of those things, like, it got flack for it, but it kind of led the way and made people want to buy it. And if that's what people want to do, you have to do it. So I still personally, the SCX-10 III I wish was a solid straight regular axle, not portal, but it's what people want, so that's what they end up building. It's not what I wish they would do, but I get why they did it. Mike Patey for the win. Yes, you have to look up his videos. They're really interesting technical videos. If for any of you guys who've never heard of them. Let's see. I have stripped screws. Let's see. I have stripped screws when you do that. When you want those, I can't hardly read. I have stripped screws. When you do that, you want those MIPs. Oh, yeah, it depends. Like if you're talking about some of the other, like the computer kits, be careful with those. A lot of times those are not a hard enough tip, and you'll end up screwing up both screws and the tools. Do you think that brass C-link sets are a waste of money, or just upgrade to metal differentials? What? Do you think? I guess it depends on what truck you're talking about, but I would never use brass on links. For a lot of reasons, but stainless steel, like these links, are basically going to be the same weight as brass, but harder. So they're what I would go to instead. I also hate the look of brass. It just looks so unrealistic. Or just upgrade to metal differentials. Oh, when you're saying a metal differential, do you mean the actual axle housing? Maybe that's what you mean. Have you had any issues fitting Proline Hyrax 2.2s on the 2.2 Method 101s? Have heard Proline tires are hard to mount on them. Just want to know before I buy a set. They're not. The Proline Hyrax 2.2s are a big ass wide tire, so they can be difficult to mount. But just the 1.15 inch wide Method 2.2s are different than the old narrow ones, so they're quite a bit easier. I don't think that they're really any harder than almost any other Proline tire. Oh, come on. This truck definitely saw some mud at one point. Great, now Harley's going to build a carbon fiber truck. You will see something built out of carbon fiber from me before too long, because yes, I've been obsessed with it for a long time. I have whole video playlists saved for reference. I met Mike Patey at the Reno Air Races. He's a really cool guy. He wasn't allowed to fly Draco at the races because his insurance wanted $46,000 to insure Draco. Oh my God. It was a rad plane. It sucked that it got crashed last year. But he had said that it was his fault for trying to take off when he did because of the crosswind and all this. And either way, good thing he came out safe. Mike Patey, the guy who has a 200,000 turbine in a wooden box illuminated by $12 LED strip light. Josh, do you run your receiver at 11 or 5.5 mil? I think that's a spectrum thing. UMG 10 should have had portals first. Agreed. I think that is a very true statement. Brass can help, but it can also hurt. Heavy stuff is harder to move on and crashes harder. Also, just makes it harder to climb stuff. Carbon fiber body, do it. That's kind of like doing like a carbon fiber body or body panels specifically is something that I've really thought about doing, taking molds and going that route. So it's part of the way that I was hoping to go with it. I'm sure it would be one of those things that wouldn't be a super popular video to do because of the amount of cost and parts and materials that it would take to do it, but it's still something I think I'm going to do. Let's see. Josh, does my wife do RC crawling? No, she does not. She has no interest in driving an RC, but she goes to all the events and she participates in talking to people and things like that. So she's very active. She's just not into RC crawling. Let's see. Another good scratch builder is Sean Sally. That guy is amazing. Do you mean planes or carbon fiber stuff or what? My son's name is Draco. Nice. How would I go about unmounting tires? I like the stock TRX4 Bronco wheels, but I wanted to get different tires. Oh, because they're glue-on. Okay. There's a number of different ways. I usually bake mine off in the oven, which can give off a smell and piss your wife or girlfriend or mom off, whoever. Have you used soda cans for the use of aluminum? For the right use, it works. I used like a Monster Energy can once for a side panel on a comp crawler when I had ripped one off, and you had to have it to be legal. But beyond that, no, it was more of a pain. So I just used aluminum sheet, which I usually have. Let's see. I've seen carbon fiber starter kits where the frame was... I've seen carbon fiber starter kits where the frame was carbon fiber. What do you... I don't know what you mean. What radio do I use? I use a Futaba 4PV. Will you 3D print the forms for the carbon fiber or make them out of something else? There's both. I've thought about wanting to do it both ways, or different parts in different ways. So we finally got all the links done. All new matching links everywhere. Looks good. Our caster angle's still good. Our clearance is good. Oh, I didn't change the steering link out. I should do that. Let's see. Mold the MST Class 2 body and pull a carbon version. Yeah, that's like a big full body, I was thinking more like on something like this where I could do like the rear panels and then, do a door skin and then maybe like a hood and a fender, like try and break it up to make it not so big. Maybe like with this one I could do the whole front. But there's a whole bunch of stuff like that. Have you ever tried RC Demolition Derby? Yeah, but not like Saints, just us all demo derbying. Not like with the scale bodies and all that. We just run into our friends. I don't know how the kits are, but they're about 300 without electronics. Electronics, man, I think we're talking about very different things. Get metal bead locks for the TRX 4 wheels. It's worth it. Let's see. What is the next future with your build? I got so much. I got to get the SCX3 finished. I've got this truck I'll play around with a little bit more, I'm sure, but nothing crazy. And then there's I got all kinds of stuff to start still. So we have lots to do. My tires get baked when no one is around, so they don't ask about the smell. That's the method that I use as well. How many of you folks put each truck on a different transmitter so they can all be used at one time? Whew. It'd be a lot of radios. Time to hide the video of Josh stroking his legs. Which should I buy next? SCXN3, VS410 Ultra, or one of the TRX4s? I mean, those are kind of very different budget ranges. Like VS410 Ultra, is that's just like if you want to go to a high end, it's the one to get. If you want to spend less, then either TRX4 or SCX103, choosing between that depending on what you want. I want to see you go back to comp crawling and build your own carbon fiber chassis and beadlocks. I did. I used to do that back in the day. My little CNC in my basement, the whole deal. How much did you get done on the SCX3? It's built, but I built it all live in like 4.5 hours. But the body is, I sent that out to have it painted, and then it'll come back, and then we'll get it finished and go run it. What would you say is the toughest axle, stock axles, wanting to make a locked axle monster truck project? Oh, well, for monster trucks, that's a whole different world. I mean, you know, you're talking a Wraith axle is a good base, but there's still some weak point. I mean, you start going bigger, there's other possibilities, but I mean, monster trucks, it seems like if you're going shaft driven, AR60 axles are kind of what people use. I was thinking short and mad force axles. Yeah, those are, you know, I'm not sure how easy it is or how hard it is to find parts for those anymore, but still, I owned one I built a mud truck on. Oh yeah. Talked to Joe in New Mexico. Yeah, when he built, I watched him build that carbon fiber Jeep body that he used, or G6 Jeep or Bronco. I do. It was the red and black, or red inlaid carbon, which was cool. I love that Woods Runner. Any tips for someone using your template? I try and cover as much as I can in like the in-depth how-to video stuff, you know. And I'll probably try and do some updated fab stuff here soon, but you know, that video still for the most part applies pretty decently. Did I put the spacer on this side? Yeah, I did. Oh, it cycles so much better now. I think those shocks were binding up pretty good at the chassis side. What color are you painting the body on the SCX-10 Orange? 50 Shades of Gray? Maybe some of both. Have you anything done to your XR10, or is it all stock? I haven't owned an XR10 in like 8 years. It was long. I sold my XR10 and bought my first 3D printer in 2012. So yeah, 8 years. Can't wait to see some more 10.3 content. Is the 10.2 raw kit still worth buying, or wait to get 10.3 trucks? I would probably just say buy 10.3 stuff. When are you going to buy a primal RC monster truck? I don't personally think I have any desire to own that truck. It's cool, but it's just not my style. Axial should come out with a 67 Ford Bronco body in Lexan and a 12.3. Early Bronco bodies are always cool. I like early Broncos. So I wouldn't disagree with you. But have they done Ford bodies lately? Did they have the old Ford pickup? I can't remember what that one was. Let's see. What's the average servo horn length? I need a longer one for my servo horn away from my Panhard link and my TRX4. Let's see, TRX4. I think most of them are around a 20 millimeter. So the 24 millimeters are the little bit longer ones. Have I considered going to a Recon G6? I've gone to a bunch of them in the past, but they're not really something I go to much anymore. Not for $3,000 bucks, but it does have the strongest stock axle. I'm guessing you mean that primal truck. The 55 Ford they did. Yeah, that was the truck body. That was what I was trying to remember. I couldn't remember if that one was a Ford or a Chevy like the rest of them. Yes, F100. Oof. I guess I should put these extra links that I didn't need in here. These are shorter than 80. I need to go on the other one. Are you putting 5-point seat belts on your rig? They would look awesome, red or blue. So I'm going to get the PRP seats from RC 4-wheel drive and put in here, and they actually have the 5-point harnesses in them. So yes, I am, but I think they're black. Let's see. Problem with my Wraith F9, rear E-clip worn out on the long side. Available? I think so. Just check on the site, or yeah, I mean, I know E-clips are on the site, but tubes might be as well. Would you recommend a plastic or metal servo horn for the Hertz Dig? I've always just ran metal on there. As long as you have everything set up properly on your radio, there's no reason to. I mean, I just run it because that's usually what I have. You could run plastic. I don't think you're probably gonna bend it or anything like that, but if you're trying to be, I guess it depends on how flimsy the plastic one is. Hey, close my bolt box. There you go. New to the hobby, could you please explain what the pros and cons are of droop suspension, if any? The pros of a droop suspension are that it gets your center of gravity as low as possible, you know, because the shocks just want to, I forgot to put these links away. So droop suspension, basically, you know, when you take the springs off, it'll ride all the way down. So it keeps your center of gravity nice and low, and that is a bonus. So, I mean, that's nice for performance. But for me, I don't like running a droop suspension at all because you don't have any, there's no room for your axle to come up. So whenever you hit something in the front, it just gets transmitted through the chassis and kind of upsets everything else. So unless you're only like really slow crawling, then I feel like it has more downsides than upsides. So for me, I never run droop. I always like a sprung suspension. Then that way, because even if I'm just like technical crawling through gates, I like to be able to pull up to something and do like a little bit of momentum and kind of bump up it. And if you're running droop at that point, when that rear comes up to that ledge and hits it, it'll just buck the rear and again upsets the chassis and things like that. So I like to have up travel at all times, and that's why I like to have a actual sprung suspension over droop. Is your film room in your place of work or at my house? This is at my house. I used to film at work. Now I film at home. Josh, any idea if they will be having the swap meet at RC Country? Well, yeah, with the given circumstances, I don't know. And also, they had to like talk to all the new people around the new building and see how that was all going to work out. But again, like everything's up in the air right now. Who knows about anything? What is a good all-around trail truck? SCX3, TRX4, Enduro, all good starting points. 6-point seat belts are more comfortable. That's true. That 6-point, splitting that 5-point sub belt. Agreed. I missed some links. Yes, you're right. And I didn't notice that. Any idea when the Vanquish chassis kit will be back in stock? Tomorrow. That would have been a disaster. What's a decent servo for around 120 bucks? Oh man, I'm terrible at remembering servo prices. Honestly, the Futaba S9177 is the best bang for the buck. It's like 100. I think it's 150 bucks, but it's just such a good servo. It's strong and the gears are awesome. It's just the best. Just dropping in to say hi. Well, hello. Let's see. I'm looking to put a TF2 Toyota body on an SCX 10.2. What length of links would you recommend? That's like a whole thing. You got to figure out where you're going to put it and how the wheels are going to line up, and if you have to cheat the wheelbase one way or another to clear things. Like, there's not just a one answer for that one. Yes, I am going to be pushing the suspension, flexing it, and all of those things. If and when your real Jeep dies, will you be buying another? I'm loving the Jeep Gladiator. Having the bed is very useful. I will definitely have a Gladiator at some point. Whether or not it will be a replacement for my current Jeep, I don't know. My current Jeep's a lifetime warranty. I feel like I'll keep it, but I will have a Gladiator. Your frame is too long for that body. Oh, you're talking about... Well, the thing is that it's not. It's because this thing has a pinch to it. So when you have a pinch like this, the wheel cutouts just need to be where they actually interfere, which is how these are cut. You don't need to cut out the entire fender well because they don't interfere on the back side. And that's a common thing. So it's how this thing should look. It's cut like perfectly for this. Do you use to film in your... I used to film in my basement, then went to work, then in your studio. Yes, that is all true. What shock oil do you use? Depends on the truck. But Losi brand. 60 or 90 weight is what I use in a lot of shocks anymore. What tubing bender do I use? I've got an Oakenshield Productions for actual tubing. And then I use a BAC Industries Mighty Rod Bender for solid rod. Oof. All right, it is almost 11 o'clock and my voice is actually starting to go. So I think what we'll do is, 7 minutes left till 11. We're gonna go till then. Any chance of you in for incision links for the UMG 10 wheelbase? Yes. Yes, there is. What are your thoughts on the wheelbase of crawlers? Do you tend to stay at 12.3 or grow bigger like the 13.25? I actually personally do like the longer wheelbases. Like 13.25 is like right around that range that I actually really like myself. But it depends on the vehicle. Like my Carnivore, that little UC Fab portal buggy, that's 13.25. And that my class 3 truck up there, that's around that 13.25, 13.5. So it has to be for a truck that's built that way. Like I wouldn't stretch this truck to that because I don't think it would look right. You need to come to Australia. Yes, for sure. True. What are you going to do with the 4Runner after the comp? I might keep the 4Runner for a while just because it's a class 1, like a simple deal. I'll probably keep that. Do you think Axial will make an SCX-10 3 6x6 with portals? Whew. I wonder. I don't know. Maybe. Let's see. When will you be putting up the beautiful rig on your workbench up for sale? This one is not... I don't have any plans on this one hitting the for sale block anytime soon. I have a lot left to finish on this one. Little things here and there and a lot left to play with. I mean, everything is for sale, but including this, everything is for sale, but I've got more planned for this one. Can you put in a micro servo in 7 minutes? Probably not. Yes, tomorrow, new Flip That Truck video, and make sure that you guys enter the giveaway for the Mamba X ESC and the Holmes Polar Pro motor. I linked in the description of this video as well, so go join that if you haven't. It doesn't do anything, doesn't cost anything or anything like that, but I figure the more people that join, the better. I have a stock TRX4 Sport. What kind of shock oil should I use? I personally like around a 60 weight. Do not sell that Woods Runner. No plans to yet. SCX-103 portals with dig. Locking both rear axles would be weird. Oh yeah, that's very true. If you used a dig with a 6x6 setup. Whew. What do the different classes mean? That's like a whole thing. But I've got video on that specifically. Go to my Road to the Scale National series. And I've got some discussions about that. How come you don't post videos of you driving your rigs? I do sometimes, but a lot of times when I go out to drive, I go out to actually drive and have fun. And then lots of times I'll video it and I just don't like how it turns out, so I don't post it. Will Vanquish make more Curry F9 AR60 axles for the Axial Bomber, or are they discontinued? Currently, there are no production plans for them. That could change at any time, but right now there's no production plans. You need a new grill for that rig. It would. This is just a sticker. It would be nice to have like a nice detailed one, but yeah. I missed the whole stream. Just picked up a VS410 Pro. Amazing kit. Thanks for the videos and definitely convinced me. Yeah, thanks. Good luck with the build. Did the person who stole your real Jeep actually poop in it? I don't know. He was a 15-year-old kid that stole my real Jeep, and he got in trouble. And he plans on running the Portal Delete axles on the 10.3 when they are released. I imagine that that'll actually be a full kit. I don't think that they'll just release the axles. How would I go about putting together a link set to put capper axles under a VS410 chassis? Any special sauce I should know? I don't know the actual link lengths that would take, off the top of my head at least. I can't remember. But it's definitely doable. It's not that difficult. So yeah. 10.3 will definitely get a running video as soon as it's done. What does SLW mean with your hubs? It was made initially for the SLW wheel, which stood for super lightweight. Why aren't there scaled door handles on that rig? Because I don't need the scale points. And I think you'd just jump over the door on this one in real life. Josh deserves more likes for entertaining us tonight. Yes, go hit the like button. 245 of you in here. Hit the like button when you leave, or before you leave, or right now, whatever it takes. You should try and get Vanquish to make a raw builder's kit. Oh, it's hard enough right now to keep up. Well, I just ordered the UC-Fab capper skid plate. Did it go on the site? Cool. So that's it for tonight, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Had fun. My voice is shot. So, but yeah, that's all I got. I'm good. Again, thanks. Make sure and watch Flip That Truck tomorrow morning. But I do have to go finish rendering it and get the thumbnail and all that stuff done. So I need to go do that before I go to bed. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.